You were born for this, you were made for this, and you have the capability to do it. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Damilola Ahmed, your go-to girl for everything faith, lifestyle, and skincare. And guys, long time no sit down video. So we're just going to be having a little bit of talk today, and we're going to be talking about self-doubt. And before we continue, guys, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you. And if it's your first time here, please do not forget to click on the subscribe button down below and join this family. I feel like self-doubt is something that cuts across every race and every age. And because when we came into this world, we didn't know if we were going to be self-confident or self-doubt. We are all a product of nature and nurture, which means that people we grew up with and life itself, because life happens to everybody. So that has sown seeds in us that has determined, or that has ended up determining how much confidence we have in ourselves and how much doubt we have in ourselves. And if you think this video is for you, please do not go anywhere. Join me and let's jump right into today's video. So guys, like I said, we're all a product of nature or nurture, and whether we like it or not, we are naturally going to feel some iota of self-doubt, especially when we want to step out of our comfort zone. Our body is just going to be like, I'm not familiar with this new invention or this new path that we want to take, and then we begin to doubt ourselves. Now, this ranges from person to person, because I feel like the rate at which we doubt ourselves it differs from one person to another. So without further ado, let's just jump right into talking about how to deal with self-doubt. I feel like the first thing you need to understand is that failure is not your enemy. And this is one thing I've learned personally, because a lot of us, when we want to do things, or when we want to step out of our comfort zone or do things we're not used to, we start to have the fear of failure, which is very valid. I'm not going to write that out, but I feel like what I've learned is that failure is a self-awareness tool and a learning curve. If you see it as that, it will be easier for you to overcome self-doubt. For example, I as a person, I've tried to start a number of things that I do not see through. And when I was about to start my YouTube channel, for example, I didn't want to start because I started to feel like I might not see this thing through. I started to feel like I'm just going to fail again at this thing, and I would not have enough resilience to just continue to do what I need to do. And that is obviously valid, because I've started a number of things, like I said earlier, that I never really saw through. But I sat down and tried to understand that instead of using that as an excuse not to do what I needed to do, what I wanted to try again, I was going to see it as a learning curve. What are the thoughts, what are the feelings, what are the actions that made me stop the things I started? And I'm able to recognize them now. I'm able to recognize the thoughts and the words and the actions or the feelings. I know that we're about to go down this road. I'm self-aware enough to know that at this point we need to take a step backward and reevaluate things, and not allow that feeling to stay long enough, or redirect that feeling into something else, so that I do not end up giving up on myself. So it has made me more self-aware. So basically, guys, do not be scared of failure. Even if you start something and you fail at it, see it as a learning curve. You will never find out, you will never know until you try. So whatever it is that you need to do, guys, don't think about it too much. If it's a desire in your heart, then you need to do it. So do it today. Take it from me, do it today. You'll be happy you did. Another way to deal with self-doubt is, for me as a Christian, is to pray. Prayer as a way of stirring up boldness in you and shifting the focus from you to God. Because obviously there's no limitation with God. If it's a business, if it's something you want to start, if it's a career you want to start, there's no limitation with God. So especially if you're a Christian, or even if you're a Muslim, or any religion you practice, pray to God, because with as a man, you are like limited in your thoughts and your abilities and things you can do and what you cannot do. But when you decide to pray, you stir up boldness on your inside. It's almost like you're shifting the focus away from yourself and tapping from an higher power to fuel whatever it is that you need to do. So always pray. Stir up the inner man on your inside. Stir up the boldness of the Spirit of God on your inside. With the Spirit of God comes boldness. So whatever it is you need to do at that stage, as you're about to do it, you want to go for an interview, you want to start a business, whatever it is that you want to do, always pray. The third thing I would like to talk about now is to find a representation. And this cannot be overemphasized, guys. I feel like representation is very important when you're dealing with self-doubt, because I don't think that there's anything we want to do in this life that somebody has not done before. But it's important to just find somebody that represents you in such a way that, what I mean is that the person represents, for example, your color, your background. You can trust the person back to having everything you have, and you were still able to achieve the thing that you want to achieve. For example, you want to change your career path, and you don't know how to go about it, and you're doubting yourself about it. Your best bet is to look for somebody that, for example, studied your own course and is now also in the same career path that you're looking to go to, and just using that person as a representation that if they can do it, then I can do it. Basically use them as a point of contact, that if they can achieve that, then you also can achieve this. The next thing I'm just going to talk about, guys, is to do the inner work that is required. Like I said from the beginning, nobody came into this world knowing how much they were going to believe in themselves. And we have experienced trauma than each other. We have gone through stuff than each other. But then we have to get to a point where we take responsibility for our lives and decide to start to, by God's grace, correct some of the damages that's been done already. Because the difference between person A and B sometimes is just the parents that brought them up, or the situation or the circumstances surrounding their birth. Not because person A doesn't want to be self-confident, or person B just wants to doubt themselves. It's just sometimes some people are just victim of circumstances. But we have to get to a point where we're like, we are no longer going to settle in for being victims and start to take charge of our own lives, basically. So doing the inner work is very important. I don't even think anyone should take or should go a day or a week, really, at most, without looking back at their lives and pouring into themselves and doing some form of inner work. Inner work is quite a big word. Inner work means to, meditate, pray, affirm yourself, check in with yourself, basically, from time to time, checking how you're feeling, what is happening with you, what went wrong, and what triggered most of your insecurities today, and why were they triggered, and things like that. Basically doing the inner work, asking yourself questions, and being your own therapist, because not everybody can afford therapists, can we? But if you can afford a therapist, because like I said, the damage is really, it differs from one person to another. Decide to be your own therapist as much as you can by being intentional, being self-aware, and also taking time out to check on yourself from time to time. Your best way to deal with self-doubt, guys, is to always spend time with God. Spend so much time with God, because God was the one that created us. We were all made in the image and the likeness of God, and God is the one that gives us our identity. So we must always find out who we are in God. So if you're not spending enough time with God, it's just going to be so difficult for you to build your own self-confidence, because then you would not know who you are. So how then would you be able to step into your purpose or step into something that might be a little bit too much, or that might look like a big deal. So by the time you understand how God sees you, how much power God has called you into, and how much power He has bestowed upon you, if you do not know how much is available unto you, how then do you make use of what is available for you? Spend time in the Word of God, meditate on God's Word, and that's why I really love this Gyre song, and that says that I'm already loved, you're already loved, you're already chosen, you're more than enough. It says, I wasn't holding you up, so there's nothing I can do to let you down, guys. The lyrics of that song is just amazing. And even when other people have not done the things that you want to do, you still know that you have a God that can part the Red Sea. So if you need a door to be opened for you, has never been opened before, you have a God that can open it. But then you can't really understand these things, or it can never really get into your inner consciousness until you start to spend time with God, enough time with God. So guys, if you want to deal with self-doubt, please always spend enough time with God. I'm a testimony, and I can tell you that that's one of the most effective ways to deal with self-doubt. Guys, another thing that I would like you guys to do is to do it afraid, regardless of how you're feeling. Self-doubt can be very funny, that it will still rear its ugly head even when you're not expecting it. Or so you have to do it regardless of how you're feeling. It means that you're not really listening to the inner feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Almost like people will call it maybe like being delusional or something like that. Basically, more like fake it till you make it. Don't allow fear to stop you from doing what you need to do, because what I've learned is that the more you do things out of your comfort zone, or the more you allow yourself push through that resistance that your mind brings to you by doubting yourself, so immediately you're able to push through that, you are giving your mind things to work with, so your mind can hold on to that. Like, that's a memory for your mind that you can push through this thing. So it just holds that for you. You give your mind something to work with. So the next time again you push through something, you give your mind something to work with. Anytime again you start to feel some sense of self-doubt, your mind is more resilient, or you have given your mind enough evidence to work with when you start to doubt yourself. So you can then remind yourself of how you've pushed through one or two things in the past, and how this is not going to stop you, and how this is another thing that you're able to push through. Always celebrate your wins. So anytime you give your mind something to work with and you're able to push past your self-doubt, that moment, just celebrate your wins, say good things to yourself. Don't let imposter syndrome get the best of you. You were born for this, you were made for this, and you have the capability to do it. But if the desire is in you, or for some reason you want to do something, then more likely than not you have the ability, or you have the capability to see that thing through. Don't let it die with you. Whatever seed God is putting in your heart to do or to carry out, whatever thing is your desire, don't let it die with self-doubt. Do it afraid. Find out the things you can start with, which is your low-hanging fruit, like I always say, and start regardless of how you're feeling. Guys, another thing you need to know is that most of the excuses are always in your head. So like normally with self-doubt comes with a lot of excuses. You find a lot of the time that you're having a lot of excuse before you start the things you need to start, just because you're doubting yourself. I just want you to know that you can move past your excuse. They are just all in your head most of the time. Like, even the people that you're worried about, what they are going to say, what they are going to do, if they're going to like you, if they're not going to like you, if things are going to work out, things are not going to work out, if you're going to feel accepted, if you're not going to feel accepted. I feel like people always say, do you? The whole world would adjust. So do you? The world will adjust. People that are going to support you will support you. People that are not going to support you will not support you. If you like, turn your head. And to myself, guys, just do the things you need to do. Ask God for strength in your inner man and forge ahead. Don't let anything stop you from fulfilling the dreams of your heart or the things that you want to do in life. And that's it, guys. If you found this really helpful, please share with your friends. And if you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button. You guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do not subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys, I'm going to come and meet you in the middle of the night. You're going to see my face. Okay, guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you in the next one. Bye.